Welcome back to the show. This is Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Arsenal smashed West Ham in style. What a way for Mikel Arteta to mark his 300th game in charge. A milestone, a statement, and a serious reminder that the Arsenal mean business. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, Trevor. How are you? I think we're going to have Dale join us in a second, and let's see how he gets on. Trevor, how are you? Well, I'll bring Dale in. He can give us a thumbs up. No, he's disappeared.
Yeah, I'm really good, Ferg. Listen, all you in the chat before Dale comes on, if you want to stick in the chat that he looks more like Jamie O'Hara than ever, keep sticking it in, right? Keep sticking it in. He won't know I've said this. Yeah, I'm really good, Ferg. Really good. Coming off that win, very, very just a basic win, once it at the weekend, which we'll talk about in a bit. But being top of the league is lovely. Seeing Liverpool's meltdown continue is lovely. Yeah, life's great at the moment, mate.
It's good. And have you lost any weight recently?
Yeah, I lost another £7 over the last 2 weeks. I didn't weigh myself while I was away. So when I got back, I weighed myself another £7. Another £7 to go, and then I'm going to start thinking about, have I done enough?
Yeah. Now you're looking well, mate. I saw you on Saturday, and I honestly did double take at first, and a few people have said, "Christ, what's he done?" It looked really well. Your overcoat and everything else, so well done. I'm on a little bit of a kick in myself, and I've done, I think it was 2.5 kilos, so it's about 5-6 pounds. I've got quite a few more to go, but hey, we'll see. I don't think I'll get to your levels. I'm not intending on trying to get your levels. I'm just trying to be a little bit fitter and healthier.
Well, if it needs be, Ferg, you need to do it if needs be. But as I told you, I'm not mentioning it to you no for him. But just please, I'm not mentioning it to you no more. I'm just pleased that you're doing it. And look, we've already got a comment from nice Ronnie tonight. Welcome,
Ronnie.
Nice,
Ronnie. Well done, Ronnie. At least you know your name now. Listen, a milestone as it was Mikel Arteta's 300th game in charge of Arsenal. He joined us in December 2019. We had Unai Emery beforehand, and we had then caretaker of Freddie Ljungberg. Trevor, how we have progressed under this manager is unreal. There's only one player that remains in the squad that was in that very first lineup that was picked by Arteta for the very first game. Do you remember that lineup?
I don't remember the lineup, but I would imagine Bukayo was involved, was he?
Saka is the only player that is still with the team that was in that squad. The squad is Leno in goal, Maitland-Niles, David Luiz, Socrates, Saka playing left back, Torreira, Granit Xhaka, Nelson, Ozil, Aubameyang, and Lacazette up top. It's just phenomenal the amount of change that this guy has done, backed by the owners as well. Don't you think?
Backed by the owners after we had a word with them.
Correct.
Yeah. Look, Ferg, I've said it a lot, and I'll say it again. Wenger left us in a mess, right? As much as I love what I saw under Wenger and loved all the wins, at the end of his reign, he'd left us in a mess. And I still feel a bit sorry for Unai Emery, because I think he didn't have the back room or the ownership back into it. He didn't have a chance. And then it's taken a long while, but Arteta has now got us to where we really want to be. Well, the only thing we're short of now is winning a trophy, and I'm sure that'll come.
God, they're in the chat already. Dale, I hope you can hear.
What you idiots been saying?
We said nothing. Jamie O'Hara's on the show.
You never said we got O'Hara tonight. Oh my lord!
Dale, we're just saying that on the 300th game of Arteta in charge, only Saka remains in the squad from that original squad that he picked back in December 2019. The squad, the lineup for that game was Leno on goal, Maitland-Niles, David Luiz, Socrates, Saka playing left back, Torreira, Granit Xhaka, Nelson, Ozil, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. What a transformation!
Yeah, massively. But technically, isn't Nelson still here as well? He's only on loan, isn't he? So
yeah,
You're not good enough.
Loose, but yeah.
No, you're
Cool,
right. It's not
another
good
one.
enough. And I think that's the key point there, right? Looking at that original squad he had compared to now, that's why they're not here anymore, right? None of them were good enough, and just the nature of the beast. But firstly, can I just apologise as well, guys? I've had to rescue this on my phone tonight, so I'm trying to. It looks like I'm looking in the camera, but it looks like I'm looking that way.
No, you're all right. You're all right. But I think the next time you need to put Dale at Dalboy on there, because a lot of people are confusing you with the aforementioned Jamie O'Hara. So, it's been mentioned a few.
That's 2 comments in 5 minutes. I don't know what is going on.
Oh, and a third one.
So, Fergus, will you get off my comments?
All right. Okay. I'll stick to
One of you have clearly said something. There's I never get this many comments about Jamie O'Hara. I'm going to watch this back the first few minutes, and if you have, I'll know. Daniel
Gunning, why is TalkSport's shittest?
Oh dear. Listen, let's talk the West Ham game.
Wait a minute. Look, is it how do you pronounce that? Dorwood? I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, mate. I really do. Saka never stopped being class. Let me tell you, absolutely agree. Saka was class from the first time he set foot on a football field. Got to agree. Right now, I'm going to shut up and not cut Fergus off anymore.
Yeah, you saw him in his very first game out in the Ukraine as well. We've not heard that story before.
You keep going on about it, you knob.
Cool, everyone's in a good mood today, aren't they? Let's talk about this game, the West Ham game, a London derby, a 3:00 kickoff at the Emirates Stadium. And we will touch on it probably before we even look at the lineups. Dale, you said you watch on telly because you can't go to games at the minute due to personal reasons and so on. Trevor, you were down there and not drinking, so you could have probably a different sort of view on it. I had a few beers and everything else. I did find it a little bit flat. It was flat on the concourse until about half hour before the game. It's normally livelier beforehand. And in the stands as well. The beginning of the game, they had a memorial for Mark Pearce. And then North London Forever came on, and that was really, really emotional. And that was really, really nice, Trevor, the way they done that. But it did peter out over about 20 minutes, didn't it?
What, the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, I don't know what it is, Ferg. We had that one season where it was roaring, and then it's just back to the same old Arsenal. I don't know what it is. I don't think about it too much, just someone put on social media today that it's the fault of people over 60 not singing and moaning. So I'm really sorry, by the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send my season ticket back to the Arsenal after this show and never come to the Arsenal and shout me head off again. I'm sorry I've got old, you know what I mean? It's something I couldn't avoid, unfortunately. But yeah, look, there's loads of reasons for it. I honestly think that the stadium's a big part of it. It wasn't made as a stadium for atmosphere. It was made as a stadium for corporates. It was made as a stadium with the maximum amount of executive boxes, with the maximum amount of corporate seats, and that makes it much harder to create the atmosphere. We know it can be done, but it's harder to be done than in a lot of stadiums. Prime example, Everton's new stadium. The other day there was empty seats in Everton's new stadium, and they still got the loudest amount of decibels we've ever heard in an English football stadium. So there's loads of reasons. I'm backing Capo Dan's way of doing it. Get the new songs out, get people fired up, and join in.
Yeah, it is a big responsibility on the individuals that go to the games. I saw Rory Talks Football talking about people blame tourists and halfers and everything else. But to be honest, if you're going in, week out, Del, when you go to the games, and when I go to the games, and Trevor and Dan and all of us, we do add to that atmosphere, and we do try and we do build it up. And there is a lot that do. But I think the design of the stadium, as Trevor said, doesn't help. The acoustics in the stadium aren't great. You can hear the Ashburton Army. Sometimes you can't the other. So, but it came across really bad on TV then.
Yes, like you said, sadly, I can't attend for probably a couple of months now. I'll be back hopefully for the Spurs game, and I'll be back every game after that. But when you sent us that message saying about agenda for tonight, one of the first things I said on there was the atmosphere seemed flat. Now, what we do in block 5 and 6 is fantastic at times. It really is. But the problem is that's only one small part of the stand of the ground. And regardless of how rocking it is in block 5 and 6, it's still a big open stadium as soon as you get out there. So I don't know the answer. I really don't. I mean, Capo and Ben and a few of the other guys as well, they do a great job in getting these songs out there. But I can't blame tourists. I can't blame anybody. I blame the fan base. I blame the club. there's multiple different things, but I don't know the answer. So I can't really say too much without knowing that answer. But we've just got to keep doing what we do, right? Keep doing what we do, generate what we can, and hopefully others follow suit.
Let's have a look at the comments, Ferg, right? Because Ferg, I'm sorry to catch twice. I've cut you off already.
No.
Right. The atmosphere changed when they reduced the number of supporters from the Ashburton Army and moved them. They didn't. They reduced them by a few, but not that many. We should still have an atmosphere in the stadium, in my view. Right. The next one. Since the ballot, the atmosphere has not been the same at the Emirates. Right. Yeah, but we don't have ballots for League Cup games and we still get, they go to general sale and we still don't get that much noise. Dan Gunning, ticket prices, all good points these are, right? Pricing out the new, young and vibrant generation that the current old school could then guide. But the 40,000 season ticket holders need to step up. Then most of them 40,000 season ticket holders don't go to League Cup games, Carabao Cup games, or that, and we still have no atmosphere. Might get a chorus of what do you think of Tottenham, and that's about it, right? Ticket prices, I absolutely agree with. It is not this. I've always said this for ages, and Dan's right about the prices. But football is a game of money nowadays, Ferg. It's not the working man's family sport that I had growing up, where I could walk up to the turnstiles and pay me 10p and go in the boys, the boys enclosure. And don't ever go at me for saying boys, because that was what it was called, the boys enclosure, right? And I used to go in there. And it's not that anymore. It's not it's not about families. It's not about anything other than money. And that can be killing it as well, right? Oh, shut up, Ferg. I'm not going to talk ever.
No, I totally agree. Like Dan said about the ticket prices and not blocking out the young. When I lived close to the ground, my daughter went to school very close to the ground. There's a photo of her on my wall with in her primary school where she got the Premier League and the FA Cup and the Community Shield. But the club used to give tickets to Highbury. I was the first time I got to the Highbury was because the club gave tickets to the local schools. The answer to with the ballot and with the Ashburton Army were 100 strong or 110 strong. They're now 52 strong. Yes, they have been reduced by half, but 50 people are not going to make it that much of a difference. And they do drag in that whole block 25 with them. If you watch behind, there's a lot of people getting joined in. Gary's got a really good point about the ballot. It did change the atmosphere. I think it did because it stopped silver members going. But as Dan said, there's 40,000 season ticket holders that are there. Even if half of those were active in turning up to games, every game in, game out, and took part, I do think season ticket holders have a huge responsibility to build the atmosphere and lead the crowd.
Look at Ronnie's comment here. Nice, Ronnie. Ronnie, I know because I've been there, mate. It's always been the same at the Arsenal. Always has been a quiet ground a lot of the time for some reason. Always. And there's always been season ticket holders. There's always been old people. There's always been young people. Yeah, we can get raucous, but not as often as we'd like.
Guys, though, do you not think that last season we started to shake this stigma? The last 18 months or so, it started to kind of generate an atmosphere. And at times, I mean, look at the Madrid game last year, right? That was the one that was sticking in my memory for a long time. There's games like that where we're capable of doing it, and that's what people are not being up for. That it's an 8 o'clock game, an 8 o'clock evening kickoff. People finish work at 5:05, but that's what we need to do every game. And I just don't know how we do it because we're doing our part. We really are, right? If anybody's not been round to block 5, 6, come round because it can be electric. But even this season, still hasn't been what it has been, has it? At times,
it hasn't. But you know what? Is it, and we'll get into the game in a minute, but is it down to like what we're seeing on the pitch? Like we are seeing really quality, and the team are clicking and everything else. But the type of football and the style of football that we've seen recently is a little bit more pragmatic, and I've used that word a lot on this podcast this season. But we do have a more pragmatic style of football. Del, do you think what you're watching? Like I was bored watching the West Ham game, but a lot of that was down to West Ham being very, very poor as well.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame the style of football in all honesty, because like as Trev said a minute ago, it's been going on since the 50s, and our style of football hasn't always been like that. It really hasn't. And I don't understand when people say about the style of football, because if we could win every single game 1-0 and play boring football and win the league, every single season to get old, every single fan, every single person who watches the game at home, they'd all take that. Every single one would take that, and they'd all want to be part of the celebrations. What we need to do is channel that energy from the celebrations that people want in the celebrations, to somehow get that to the games. Because I don't get it. I don't think the style of football has anything to do with it, because we've seen so many different styles of football over the years, yet it hasn't changed. We've still got. I mean, about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, people was like talking to people, like when I speak to people, they go, "Oh, the library." I was like, no, honestly, it's changing. It really is changing for the better. But it seems to have stopped and gone backwards a little bit again. And I don't get why.
I don't think it's gone back as much as like the library sort of thing, but I do think I think where John makes the point on there, Trevor, and it is a crossover, like what I said with the ballot. Silver members, because before Dan became a season ticket holder, he was a silver member, and he used to go on the silver allocation and get a ticket for every game, and invariably he was able to pick a seat that was empty near me, that was on the exchange and so on. But now, because of the ballot, the silver members can't get in, and the silver members are, the lifeblood of some of the hardcores that of some of the support. You follow what I mean, don't you, Trev?
I feel for silver members. I really do feel for them. What John says there is gut wrenching, to be honest. How long's the ballot been in place? Is this the third season now?
It is the third season, yeah.
And he's not been successful in getting one.
The only question I'd ask John is, has he entered every ballot? Because I've entered my grandson in the silver ballot this year already. He's had 2.
Well, he may not have bothered if he's not had much success over the first couple of seasons. But I don't know why, people are just going to have to accept the fact that you're not supporting the loudest and most raucous club in the world, right? You're not. And Ferg, you said just now about the style of football we've been playing. That hasn't helped for me. It hasn't helped, but it's many things. Like John said, he's in the most ballots, but not all. I mean, to be honest, if I hadn't had a ticket in 2 seasons, I'd seriously be thinking about not renewing my silver membership, because that won't go away now. I can't get rid of that. But
I'll get rid of it. I'll
do
it.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what to say. It's the Arsenal. You know what I mean? I go there. Why do you go to the Arsenal, right? Listen, first thing I go to the Arsenal for is because I love the football club, right? Second thing I go there for is to watch us win a game. It doesn't play on my mind before a game. Is it going to be loads of singing today or just bits of singing? Because it weren't that bad at West Ham. People were singing. That I was in Dale's seat because I gave mine away last week. Didn't think I could go, so Dale let me have his seat, and they were singing around me, and it was quite loud, actually, to be honest. So I don't get why it's such a big be all and end all deal. Pull your hair out. Or it's got to be loud. It's got to be loud. It hasn't.
I think there's
a bloody league.
There's an element of clickbait on that as well, Trev. There is, like people are just saying stuff for the sake of getting attention and getting clicks and so on. So yeah, I agree. There was noise, there was atmosphere, but where everyone says 3:00 kickoffs, they're the best games on a Saturday. Well, that felt more like a 12:30 game on a Saturday to me than a 3:00 kickoff, and considering it was a derby game. So, but let's look at the game itself then.
Because it was a thoroughly enjoyable, comfortable win.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's look at the lineup. So the lineup was David Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori was the back four. We started with Rice, Eze, and Odegaard. We'll talk about that. Saka, Trossard, and Gyökeres up top. Trevor, I was really, really interested to see this combination that we were going to have with Eze and Odegaard. Rice dropped into like the sixth position and left Eze in the left 8 and Odegaard in the right 8. How did you feel it went? Did you see enough of it before they had to make the change?
Yeah, I saw plenty of it. It caught me on the up a bit because I thought if you bring Eze in, you've got to drop one of the forward two, i.e. either Trossard or Saka. And he didn't. He went about it a different way, did Arteta. He bought Eze in at the expense of, I don't know, say Marino or Zubimendi, either of those two. And I wasn't sure. But then again, we didn't play any good opposition at all. West Ham were like worse than ordinary. So it was hard to judge how it works. But I thought Eze was a bit quiet, if I'm honest.
Yeah. What did you make of that lineup then? And what did you make of the Eze Odegaard sort of combination? Dale, I know you also mentioned about Trossard. We'll do the Eze Odegaard first.
Yeah, I mean, so Eze, I expected him to play in that game, and if I'm honest, with the squad depth we got now, I did expect a couple of changes. I thought Odegaard, because of his recent injuries, I mean, because the previous two games he'd come off before half time, and as it would be, he ended up coming off again this game, albeit a different injury. And yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been helped, the injury, but I thought that might have been a game they may have dropped Odegaard for a bit of a rest, in all honesty, with his previous injuries over the last couple of games, just to rest him. I don't think he deserves it, but with the rotation we've got nowadays, I thought we might see the likes of Eze starting the 10. I'm glad that he gives Zubimendi a rest, because I think it's he's done a sterling job of coming into the side, into a brand new league and taking to it like he has done. So I'm glad that he gave him a rest, in all honesty, because that's the sort of game you're going to do it. Let's be honest. As Trev mentioned, West Ham offered very, very little going forward. I was surprised with Trossard's inclusion, if I'm honest. I think Martinelli over the last few weeks has he's done what we've asked of him. We've been very critical of him. A lot of people have, me included, and I thought he'd earned a starting spot, in all honesty. And I think in hindsight now, maybe if Arteta could choose a team again, he probably would, because I thought Trossard was quite quiet in that game. He wasn't his usual self. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the reason is. But other than that, I mean, you can't really fault the lineup, right? I mean, the team pretty much picks itself. I think we've got a strong enough backup in pretty much every position that you don't really weaken the side, regardless of who comes in.
Yeah, I bumped into the guys from the North Bank podcast, Holly and Stefan and so on, and they asked me what I thought about the Eze and Odegaard starting. I said, well, it's a bit like porn, isn't it? It's just like, because you're going to have these two great players in that position. And then, like you, with Trossard, I just thought like Martinelli is the better starter. I would never normally start Trossard, but he started, was that 2 games in a row now, or 3 games in a row? I would start Martinelli. He seems to wear down the defence a lot more, and if he can get a goal early on, brilliant. If not, Trossard comes off the bench, and generally when he comes off the bench, he scores. So I personally would have preferred that. Trevor, Odegaard's injury, very worrying. He's injured again. He came off, as Dale alluded to, for the 3rd game in a row. Third game he's played in a row. He was substituted before half time. It's a record, not a record he'd really like to share. The first one was the Leeds game, was a shoulder injury. He then had another shoulder injury. I don't know what game it was, and this one was a knee collision. I hope it's not too serious. How did you feel? It is worrying how many injuries you're picking up, isn't it?
Firstly, let me just say that I thought Trossard, I was too worried about, wasn't happy about Trossard starting games, but I thought he had his best game for us against West Ham. I thought he was very effective and happy with the way he played. As for Odegaard, well, let's hope it's just bad luck for the lad, and that his bad luck will run out soon, because he's just really started to turn it on and show his true form. And That you could see in the replays, it was a nasty whack on knee to knee, and anyone knows bone to bone is not good. And Odegaard's come off worst. It was a bit, I don't know, it was a bit strange that he played on, tried to run it off, but I just hope it's we've been reading about the length of time is dependent on the type, not the injury, the how bad the injury is, and the best scenario seems to be 1 to 2 weeks. The worst scenario seems to be 3 to 4 months. So let's hope it's the best scenario. Odegaard, Demsek's put there is up to 8 weeks. Yet, okay, if it's up to 8 weeks, if that's been confirmed, that's not good. I don't care how deep our squad is. That's not good. I like to see Odegaard starting in the team when he's in the form he's in, especially when he started with Eze. They both started against West Ham, Eze and Odegaard, and I thought Odegaard was much more effective.
Yeah, if you look at Odegaard, I think I heard a pundit or a football analyst talking about Odegaard and Gyökeres, and it would seem that Gyökeres is I don't know factually if I'm right, but I know he scored 3 goals in the Premier League. But Odegaard has been involved in all of those. It's been involved in all the successful assists, dropping deep, finding the space to get a ball to Gyökeres so he can find that space and run on that space. We'll probably go into Gyökeres in a little bit more detail a little bit on. But once we made that substitution, Zubimendi came in and he went into 6, and Rice moved up into that left 8 position. And not long after he scored, he didn't do much of a celebration in front of the West Ham fans. I found that a little bit strange because, yes, he played for West Ham. Yes, he was their captain. And yes, he was a highly thought of player. But he's not a West Ham fan. He's a Chelsea fan. That's what he is as a kid. Dale, what did you make of him not celebrating?
I get it to an extent, but how long does it go on for? There's been lots of talk about people wanting Declan Rice as a captain. For me, if he's going to be captain at any point, you have to show commitment and passion and everything. I don't doubt any of that. I don't doubt any at all. I think he's got it all. However, it's been 2 years now. They are making it quite clear they aren't going to forgive him for joining us. They in the game. They still sing it. You should have signed for a big club and things like that. I get it, right? They've lost their best player. They've lost their talisman, who's just won him a Mickey Mouse European trophy that was kind of irrelevant. But to them, it's a big deal, right? I get it. But he's come to us to try and win bigger trophies. And I think to an extent, the time is kind of running out now. He's had his 2 years of not celebrating. He's scored against them a couple of times now, and I get it. But if he scores against them again next season, for example, at home, I would expect some sort of celebration, even if it's a little bit muted, right? Even if it's a little bit more. I'm not asking him to go full Adebayor and sprint down the pitch in front of their fans, not at all. But what I would like to see is a bit of a jump in the air, fist in the air, celebration, big smile on his face, rather than trying to calm the situation down like he's doing. I'm like, nah, you scored for the Arsenal. You're an Arsenal boy now. West Ham give you a chance, but like you say, you're not a West Ham fan. You don't owe them anything. In fact, they owe you. I put a tweet on the other day. I was saying, the way their fans are going on about it online is like, it's like Declan Rice owns West Ham. He's in their heads massively. That's all they can think about. And I don't know. I get why he's done it, but I'd like to see a little bit more if he does it again.
Trevor, I know what your opinion will be about goal celebration, but what do you think of his performance as goal? He took his goal really, really well, and he really, I felt he played better in that more forward role. Did you?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I don't care what Declan Rice does. He does what he wants to do. You knew I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I can't agree with Dal because I just think more about the person. He did have a crafty look over his left shoulder at the West Ham fans when he scored, because I think he'd been getting some abuse, boys. But he does what he wants. I mean, he was at West Ham a long time, boy and man. And if he wants to not celebrate a goal against them, then good luck to him. As for his goal, Ferg, it was really interesting, wasn't it? Because Eze had a very similar chance just before Odegaard went off, and he skied it. He put it over the bar. Having said that, you've got to be in the position to put it over the bar. I love that position, and it just goes to show how the midfield players know where they need to be according to whether they're playing deeper or more forward. Because When Odegaard went off and Rice moved more forward, he found himself in exactly the same spot as Eze did and put the ball nicely into net. It was a well taken goal. The ball was bouncing out. The ball was quite high up. It was a well taken goal. And it was always going to come. And it was Declan that got it, which made me quite pleased because the West Ham fans were clearly on his back a bit. But as for the celebrating bit, he can do as he wants for me. I don't care. While he's putting the ball in the net, carry on.
Another player I want to talk about is Saka. I thought Saka had a really, really strong game. Listen, I think all the players played really, really well. If I was being hypercritical, I'd probably agree with Dale in the sense that Trossard was the quieter of players, but that's been a little bit picky. Yeah, exactly. But again, the opposition that we had, West Ham were super ordinary. I like where I live around here. You know what it is? It's full of West Ham, and I bumped into a few of my friends, and then went, "Oh, well done at the weekend." I said, "Mate, you're in serious trouble. You have improved. They have improved a little bit, Dale, don't you think?" They looked a little bit stronger, like defensively and set piece wise, because we did put in how many corners did we have? I can't see how many. Yeah, we had eight corners, and there was a couple of times, they done well to defend against them because we're good at normally our set pieces. What did you make of West Ham, like an improvement wise?
They've definitely got better in the short space of time that he's been there. But let's face it, right? They couldn't get much worse. They've conceded the most goals from set pieces this season. I think they were up there conceding the most last season as well. Then we had us. Obviously, we've been the set piece again, ole, right? There's loads of talk about our set pieces. So I work with a West Ham fan, and one of the things he said was, "You'll score a set piece." So I think it was Paddy Power did a special Arsenal to score from a corner, even money or something daft like that. It's like people jump on them. So part of me did think we would probably score from a set piece, in all honesty. But I thought they dealt with them all right. I don't think they offered very much going forward. In fact, did they have a shot on target? I don't think they did they? All
No,
game?
they didn't.
Raya had nothing to do. So that speaks, rather than flip about how good West Ham were, I'd rather say, yeah, they've improved, but I thought once again defensively we were solid, and that was partly to do with our fullbacks. I thought Calafiori had one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt. I thought he was absolutely superb, and Timber on the other side as well. As Ronnie mentions there, Calafiori's great effort. I thought it was one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt, and I said that in the group on Sunday. I thought he was absolutely superb.
Come into Calafiori in a second. Trevor, what was your view on West Ham? Like, as Dale said, no shots on target. They had 4 shots in the entire game. They did look a little bit more solid than they did on the Graham Potter, but still very, very poor.
Oh, listen, right? They were really poor. I mean, 2 seasons ago, when we played West Ham at home, I was thinking, God, we'll beat West Ham. And they came and played really well. Last season, I was thinking, we've got to beat West Ham. And they came and played really well. This season, I'm thinking the same. We must beat West Ham. And they came and they were awful. And I don't have a gripe with West Ham. I don't mind. I have sympathy for their fans, as we all know. So I'm not just saying this out of spite, but they're in a lot of trouble, I think. They are really poor. They need to hope that Nuno fella sorts them out and quick, because they are in a lot of trouble. They weren't inventive anywhere on the pitch. I was looking forward to seeing Jared Bowen play, because he's a player I rate really highly. Did next to nothing. From minute 1 till minute 90, whatever it was, I had no doubt that we would win the game. And I honestly think they escaped what on another day could have been a bit of a hiding. We didn't quite have our shooting boots on. On another day, we'd have been losing 4-5 to us. We were that.
Yeah, I think if we were more potent, we could have put them right to the sword. They've got West Ham at home next, Leeds away, and then Newcastle at home. So 3 tough games. The Leeds one is probably the one that will show where they are and what's going to happen. You mentioned Calafiori, Trevor. He was your man of the match. Interesting stats on here. He had more touches in the opposition box than the West Ham side had combined. They had 5 touches in the box, but he was outstanding, and it was his best game. And he just seems to be. I'm glad he's getting a run of games because he was getting niggled with injuries and stuff last season, and it's just really good to see him because he's quality, isn't he?
Oh, see, I picked up on what Dale. I picked up on what Dale said on social media about him being his man of the match, because he was undoubtedly my man of the match. He absolutely purred his way through that game. He's tall. He's got so much. He's calm. You know, you can't rush him. Everything I've seen about him, I've seen no negatives about Calafiori apart from the injuries that you just said, Ferg. You know, and I'm just picking up on what Demsek's put here because it's a really interesting point. If we're on the same wavelength, Kev, I don't know if we are, you know, but for the 10, 15 minutes before Calafiori went off in the 74th minute. So probably for the 15 minutes before that, Calafiori was playing more through the middle, and Gabriel was permanently out of left back. Even when Calafiori dropped deep, he seemed to drop into the middle. And he plays that inverted role magnificently. Plays it better than what's his name?
Lewis Skelly.
No, not Lewis Skelly. Him that we just sold to Forest.
Ukrainian.
Zinchenko. Thank you, Dal. Yeah, he plays it much better than Zinchenko, and I thought Zinchenko was good at that. But of all the players we've brought in and all the good performances we're seeing and all the great work we're seeing, no one's really playing bad. You know, everyone's pulling their weight and doing well. I think the one I'm taking most enjoyment from at the moment is watching Calafiori play football. And he hit the post as well, got unlucky not to score. I thought he was man of the match comfortably against West Ham.
Yeah, the difference between Zinchenko and Calafiori is Zinchenko is more naturally a midfielder and he likes that inverted role and he's very, very good at it. But defensively, he slips a little. Where Calafiori defensively is very strong and then is learning that inverted midfield role as well a bit more. And if you compare Miles Lewis Skelly, who deputises for him and came on at that 75th minute, he again can be a little bit weaker defensively on that side of things. Del, your thoughts?
Sorry, that last bit cut out. Say it again.
Your thoughts, Calafiori.
Oh, superb. Absolutely superb. I made it quite clear on Sunday. And as Trev said, I plastered it everywhere that he was my man of the match by a country mile. I like the fact he came off, if I'm honest, because he has had his injury problems. We seem to be managing him very well. But Lewis Skelly does just as good a job when he comes on. He's still a young lad. Let's not forget that. We're very, very, very lucky and very privileged to have, if we say the back line that we've got, where you'd say it was the two centre halves, Calafiori and Timber, and the backups we have in Ben White and Lewis Skelly. Calafiori is arguably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Right, so Saka scores from the penalty spot. Personally, when I was watching it live, Trev, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought the foul does start on the outside of the box, and I've saw it since on Match of the Day. And VAR said, although the foul started outside the box, it continued into the box, hence why the penalty was given. If it was against us, I would have been fuming. I didn't think it was a penalty. And then Saka took a really, really good penalty. But would you not have let Gyökeres take that penalty?
Yeah, it's some interesting points there, folks. Some really interesting points. Firstly, I was at a different angle to you because I was right behind the goal, sitting in Dale's seat. So the ball was coming towards me, and I would have never known whether it was inside or out of the box. But it looked a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. And you know, unfortunately, it swings and roundabouts. Sometimes it's a penalty. Sometimes it's not a penalty. It all depends how the VAR officials are feeling that week, doesn't it? So, you know, unfortunately. But I don't want to talk about them tonight because I don't want to bring me dinner up I've had a bit earlier. Yeah, and as for the penalty, so I thought Gyökeres would take the penalty because he took the last one. I thought he would take it. He's our striker. But, you know, Saka was the captain. Saka had the right to call who took it. Obviously, Arteta must have said something to him about it. And it was, I don't know if it had an input, but it was Saka's 200th goal. Input, wasn't it? Was it 200?
Yes.
200 or 100?
It was a 200th goal input between assists and goals. Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day,
Isn't it bad that they have to just try and get some bloody stat just to put something on?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, as penalties go, it was a very fine penalty. He hit it hard and into
Dan actually said beside me it wasn't a good penalty. That's interesting.
Oh no, it was imagine. It went in the net so quickly. Areola wouldn't have time to blink, and it went and it hit the corner of the netting at the back. It didn't go in the middle anywhere. I was right behind that goal, and I won't have anyone say that it wasn't anything other than an excellent penalty, just by the pace on it. Oh, we've got an argument going in the chats. Look, I think it was. Yeah, but we'll leave them to it. We'll leave them all to it to chat about it. But yeah, I had no problem with whoever took the penalty unless they missed it, and then we could have a word. But yeah, it was a good penalty. I'm happy with it. And yeah, well, John's right here. Look, John's just popped up. John Matthews, good friend on social media, by the way. Evening, John. It was a bullet of a penalty. That sums it up perfectly. It really was a bullet of a penalty.
Dale, does this mean Saka is pulls rank on penalties over Gyökeres? I would have thought your number 9 being your striker, Harry Kane for England. You go down through the years, your number 9 would be your penalty taker, but Saka is, is he the man?
Did you see Aubameyang's penalties? Absolute crap. The only time Aubameyang scored a penalty was when he got lucky and the goalkeeper dived the wrong way. It was awful. And I'll never, ever forgive him for missing that one right near the end of the game against Tottenham at Wembley. And we drew instead of winning. Yeah, strikers taking penalties. Good penalty takers take penalties, Fergus Keating, let me tell you. Good penalty takers, whoever they are. Ask Lee Dixon for starters. Right. Where's my mic? I'm dropping it.
And you and you've done all that without moving your lips, Dale. What was your thoughts?
Exactly that, yeah. I think we're very lucky that we've got some fantastic penalty takers. Just to say, if that penalty went against us, I'd be fuming. I don't think that was a penalty. When I saw the replay in real time, I was like, nah, they're going to overturn that. 100% they'll overturn that. But you know what? We've had enough. We've had enough against us. Dodgy decisions, so I don't mind taking the odd one. But anyway, that's that. Penalty takers, I don't know if you guys saw it in the ground or seen the replay since, but Saka and Gyökeres, they're talking to each other like that, like they do, with their hands over their mouths. So something was clearly said between the two. There was no arguments. Gyökeres walked away, let Saka have the ball, and Saka duly put it away. I've got no issues with Gyökeres taking penalties. I've got no issues with Saka taking penalties. Odegaard takes a damn good penalty. We've got some good penalty takers in that squad. So as long as they put it in the back of the net, and I thought that was a mighty fine penalty.
Interesting point that John put up. Oh, hang on. John put up earlier. Trevor, I'll come to both of you, but I'll go to you first, Trevor. John Drury said if Wenger was a manager of this current team, then he believes that Victor Gyökeres would have scored more than 3 goals that he has. He's played in 10 games, 7 league games and 3 Champions League games. He's scored 3 goals in the Premier League, nothing in the Champions League. I would have thought he'd be better in the Champions League, being European football, but it's early, very, very, very early days. What do you think about that statement?
I don't know. It's a simple answer. Who knows? I mean, I can see what John's saying. Wenger did set up his teams differently, so it's proven by Henry and right at the end of his career that and Bergkamp that the way Wenger set up it, strikers scored lots of goals for him. But whether it had been different now, I don't know. I do think that Arteta is more reserved than Wenger, but I'm not holding that against Arteta because look where we are, look where he's got us, So yeah, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, to be honest, Berg.
Yeah. Let's look at, we've done Calafiori. Let's look at, we've got an international break coming up now. So we've got no football, no podcast on Friday or next Monday. But, actually, before we go into that, it was subs. That's what we're going to talk about next. So Rice went off injured, holding his back, and he went off on the 79th minute, substitute by Marino. Martinelli came on from Eze. Early before that, Trossard and Wanyeri, Miles Lewis-Skelly for Calafiori, and obviously we had Zubamendi, Odegaard. Del, that strength that strength on the bench is just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. I think that's one thing we've all spoke about for the last, well, since the transfer window, really. When you look at every position, there's not a single player in that team where you could sit there and say we haven't got an able replacement. In fact, we had a debate against ourselves the other day about when Havertz is back, who starts, Gyökeres or Havertz, and there was various discussions around that. I think we're very, very lucky at the moment. I think we bought sensibly. Because we're not even talking the likes of Norgard and stuff yet. Norgard, don't forget we had the likes of Norgard on the bench, who's an international and former Premier League captain from last season, who's come into the squad. We're spoiled. Even the backup goalkeeper in Kepa Arrizabalaga, we've got depth like we've never had before, and it's showing, right? We've got we was all waxing lyrical about Madueke when Saka was injured. Now Madueke's injured and Saka's slotted back in just like Madueke wasn't there, and we've quickly forgotten about how good Madueke was. It'll be the same with Odegaard, with Eze and the likes, that people coming in. Even Martinelli this season, right? Martinelli's had his critic over the last 12 months. He's had his critics, including we've discussed him on here before. But he's pulling his weight now, and I think he knows that actually we've got a bigger, better squad. And if I don't pull my weight, I'm going to get less game time. And I think we're seeing that all across the park.
Yeah, Trevor, it is true because Martinelli looks like he's reborn. He looks like the Martinelli that we've seen 2 or 3 years ago when he was playing with Smith Rowe and Saka when they all came through in that 22-23 season. We said, well, the atmosphere was brilliant, but he does look, and it is. I think it is the competition for spaces and it builds, happiness builds happiness.
Do you know what, Ferg? Dale's absolutely nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it, Dale. I'm certain. I mean, who am I to say I'm not a football manager, but I'm certain in my head that more competition for places makes people play better and put more effort in because they want to play football. They get paid too much money, in my opinion. They get paid loads of money. They can do what 1 or 2 Arsenal players have done in the past and just turn up and take their paycheck. But at the end of the day, these lads we've got now, and you can see it in them, they want to be on that field playing football, right? And they're going to do their very, very best to stay on that field. It's another little thing. It's another little bow in Arteta's armory, isn't it? If you want to play, if you want me to pick you, you've got to play really well, you got to play really well. And I think it's been fantastic this season. Absolutely fantastic to watch, as you boys just said, us start a game with 11 players on the field, right? And then maybe make 3, 4, or even 5 substitutions and nothing changes. You're not like in years gone by, you might be thinking, oh God, we're taking off a star striker and we're bringing on a lad from the juniors, or look at the bench, it's really weak. I don't get that this season. When he brings out the subs now, I'm thinking, oh my Lord, like Zubimendi, prime example against West Ham, right? Okay. Odegaard's had to go off. In previous season, I'm thinking, oh my God, Odegaard, no. We can't lose him. We can't lose him. This year, I'm thinking, oh my God, Odegaard's gone off. I'm a bit worried about his injury, but then it's gone because I'm watching Zubimendi come on and I'm thinking, here we go. This boy's a baller, It's like, it's just perfect all over the park, boys, I mean, Rice goes off, right? Rice goes off, who is our star player at the moment, no doubt in that. But then we'll bring on Marino, who never lets us down and scores goals and gets all over the park. So, oh, boys, you're so right.
You know what, Trev? When Marino came on, I went, oh. And then he came on and he nearly scored, I think, 2 or 3 times. Yeah. He just proves you wrong every time. You'd think, oh, that's not an inspiring substitution. Yet again, he goes and gives everything.
I don't know how you boys feel about this, right? But there's always one player in a team who people tend to say, oh, not quite on the level. And I think Marino is our man at the moment when people see him. And I've done it before.
Trossard as well, I think.
Marino's coming on. I'm not sure about this. But the bloke's a boy. He's superb, Yeah. He's absolutely superb.
Listen to this bench, right? This was our bench the other day. You tell me which of these are not don't deserve to start in their own right. They're all starters, right? In their own right. Kepa Arrizabalaga, he's better than what Chelsea's number 1 now, right? Lewis Skelly, Martinelli, Mosquera, Norgard, Winieri, Ben White, Marino, and Zubimendi. Every single one of them.
All would have started in our starting 11 last season, bar Kepa, because Raya would trump that.
Yeah. So when you look at the quality and the depth we have, we didn't even mention like one of the players who started there. Honestly, it's mind blowing the squad we've got now, and the difference between us and Liverpool this year, I think, is the squad. It is massively the squad.
You know what? I said it to somebody. I can't remember who it was, but I said it was just the people want to come to play for Arsenal first of all, and you know, you got Eze. Okay, he was an Arsenal fan, but you got players turning down the likes of Liverpool, Zubamendi, to wait and come to Arsenal. It seems just a happy camp. I think it was Mem I was talking to. You look at Liverpool, and Liverpool last season won the league because we weren't firing on all cylinders. We weren't playing really, really well. We did well in the Champions League, but in the league we didn't. Other teams didn't perform well in the league. Slot won the league with a Klopp side. Now he's changing his side, and he's brought in 4 or 5 players, spent half a billion pounds on his players, and he's building his side, and he's struggling now until they all line up. But over the 5 years that we have, the 300 games that we've had with you're loving it. Over the 5 years we've had with Arteta, he's got rid of players, very big players and big personalities, and he's brought in these other players who all are on the same page. They all want to play for him and his way, and that's making a huge difference. And I think it's a happy camp. It's really good. I've worked in sales for years, and a happy sales team with a good sales manager and a good manager encouraging people is really important. Having a really strong salesman will always weed out the weaker salesman, because they'll just go because they won't earn enough money and so on. I think it's just a really good place. Yeah. Can we do it this year? I said we're going to do the Champions League and the Premier League at the beginning of the season. I still think we can.
Can I add to that, right? So I think a big part of where we're going in the direction we're heading as well is seen off the pitch, not just on the pitch. Let's look at Willow, right? Willow was linked with Real Madrid quite openly. They were twerking for him. He could have made a move to Real Madrid anytime. He could have pushed through a move to Real Madrid. He doesn't want them. He wants to stay at the Arsenal and build a legacy there. He said, I feel at home here. I feel at home with Mikel. And they all mentioned Mikel Arteta as well. So I know people have got mixed opinions about Arteta in different places. But Arteta, William Saliba has openly said one of the reasons he's staying is for Mikel Arteta. He believes in him. He believes in everything that's going on. We're looking at Bukayo Saka, arguably one of the best, if not the best, right-sided attackers in the world, signing a new contract. Gabriel's going to be next. Gabriel and Saliba, they're arguably the 2 best centre-halves in the world at the moment, right? There's not many out there who are better than them. People will throw in arguments for Van Dijk, etc., whatever. They're all committing their long-term, not short-term, long-term futures to the Arsenal, because they know we're building something. So not only what's going on the pitch, what we're doing off the pitch is making these guys stay. It's making them sign long-term contracts. No one's putting a gun to their head and making them sign those contracts. We're not paying them 400 grand a week. We're paying them wages what they deserve to take us to that next level and win trophies. They know we can do it, which is why they're staying.
Trevor, anything to add on that?
You could talk about that all night, because it's a pleasure to talk about it, and where the position we're in at the moment. Just got to go back to the penalty. I'm not going to put Dan's comment up. Dan, just for your benefit, mate, Saka's penalty, yeah, it wasn't low, it wasn't high, it was in the middle, but it went in the corner, and it went that hard. That goalkeeper could have chose to dive the right way. He could have chose to dive the right height. He could have chose to do both of them things with a rocket stuck up his arse. But he still wouldn't have saved that penalty, because it went in like a bullet. So I'm not having none of your arguments, young Dan, my man. But you going back to the squad, right?
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm agreeing with Jamie O'Hara tonight. You know what I mean? I've got him blocked on all social media, and here I am talking to him. But you see, what Arteta's done, I think, looking at what he had to take over, right? You talk about work, Ferg. When I had to work for a living, I used to do a lot of training, right? And you got 3 different types of people. You got thrivers, survivors, and nosedivers, right? Okay. The nosedivers you can get out easy, right? Because you can see they're poor. And we had some poor players and Arteta got rid of them. The thrivers, you don't have to worry about because they're always giving you 101% and they're flying. It's them ones in the middle, right? The survivors, the ones that just stick their head above the parapet when needed, then duck down again. We had quite a few of them players when Arteta took over, and he took no bull crap and he got rid of them and he dropped them. And he did. He possibly, I don't know, my opinion only, went against what upstairs were telling him to do because Arteta, I reckon, said, I'm managing this side and I'm going to manage it. And I think he's worked wonders. I really think he's worked wonders. He's worked wonders.
Right, next up, the international break. Then we've got Fulham 5:30 on Saturday, 18th of October. Listen, Dan, as you mentioned, did bring a final question, which we've starred in here. And
sorry, well, you're interfering on my
because I've got a start. Just
you and me are
behave
going to fall out right out.
We always fall out.
You're lucky I've got 2 weeks to calm down now.
A question for the lads and thought of UEFA have approved that Barcelona and Villarreal and AC Milan and Como can play play a game abroad.
Wrong.
Barcelona and Villarreal are going to be in Miami. AC Milan and Como are going to be in Perth. They will be proper league games, not anything else. I go on, Trev. I'll just leave you go.
No, I heard earlier that UEFA haven't agreed to it, but there's nothing they can do about it. Now, I read that, right?
I read that they're not happy about it, but as you said, there's nothing they can do about it. But they don't want. I don't think they want it to continue.
I think that if they tried to do that, I would like to think that if they tried to do that in England, we'd be back to where we were with the demonstrations, and
absolutely
all football fans of all clubs would come together maybe and plan a course of action to stop it happening. Or the clubs whose home game it is need to lay on 50 large aeroplanes to take all the fans to the games for nothing. And even that wouldn't satisfy me. It's the English Premier League by name, right? And that's where the game should be played. And I would like to hope that. Interesting to get people in the comments here. It's really interesting to see what people's comments are, because I honestly think football fans would come together and sort out a plan of action to try and stop it happening, because it's just greed.
Guys, whilst we've been talking about that, I've just Googled it. Listen to these headlines. Spineless nonsense. Fans blast UEFA after exceptional decision. Helpless UEFA approves game. UEFA reluctantly approves Villarreal. It all says about one thing, and we all know exactly what that one thing is. It's money. It's money and revenues being generated from elsewhere. There's no other reason to do that. Absolutely no other reason for it.
Right, guys, it's been absolutely brilliant. As you can see up there, there's a QR code. If you go into that QR code, you can follow us on YouTube and follow all our content. We'd love you to go there and like and subscribe. It wouldn't be an Arsenal Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast without us talking about Andy's Man Club. It's okay to talk. Andy's Man Club is a mental health organization to help men with problems. And it's a suicide prevention charity as well. So, you know, if anybody out there is struggling or you need some help, you go onto their website, Andy's Man Club. There's over 300 locations. It will mean you're going to miss a podcast from us because it runs every Monday night, 7 till 9. You get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and a biscuit, and sit there, listen, or sit there and talk. We've had Alex on a couple of times from us in the last international break and at the beginning of the season. Really, really brilliant guy and really, really interesting. If you do get a chance, again, go back onto YouTube and look at those. Trevor, you're going to come in on it.
Oh, Ferg, I just agreeing with you, mate, about Alex. What an exceptional man he is, you know. A lovely man. I was up near Perth last week and I nearly gave him a ring and popped in the
I was going to ask you, did you do it?
We ended up going on a long route around. Donna wanted to see some strange thing somewhere, and off we went.
Horse's heads. So
off we tootled. But, you know, people out there, if you do need to talk, or even if you just want to know what they do and think you might be able to help them, you know, go along. They're lovely people. And
he did say, if you're just curious, because there was somebody who contacted me after our first episode and said, I'm curious, I might go along and have a look. And I said, maybe don't go there if you're curious. And I did check with Alex. He said, if you're curious and you want to know what goes on, go. You know, it may help you, or you could help them, because they're always looking for people who can help, be it make a cup of tea, clean up afterwards, or somebody who can be there as, you know, a facilitator in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Jamie, it's been wonderful. Oh, sorry, Dale, it's been wonderful having you on.
Can I just say, we've all been going on about Trevor's weight loss for the last few weeks, which you look incredible, by the way, Trev. But
Thank
you're
you.
not noticed my weight loss. It's not just a beard. I've lost a stone in weight. I've lost a stone in like a
Thank you,
4-week
Jamie.
period.
Yeah.
And I've got me a nice little. I've been playing a lot of golf at the minute to get me exercise in. So I've got my nice little Arsenal golf shirt on. But
I like that shirt. In fairness, it's nice.
I do actually. I was looking good. I quite like that. well
Actually,
done. But we're
well done, Dale. Well done, Dale. And I think Ferg had a visit to the toilet this morning and had a number 2, so he's probably lost 2 pounds today as well. Yeah, just Ferg, got to have a bit of Trev time. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be too specific.
Let me see if I got the banner. Oh, I do. There we go.
I'm not going to be too specific here, and I'm not going to say too much and get out of hand. But it's been made apparent today that we've only got, I think, just over a tiny few over 1,000 tickets for the game against Slavia Prague away in a couple of weeks' time. And out of the initial allocation, the Arsenal Football Club have held back 38% of the tickets, which means, even people on very high credits are going to be lucky to get a ticket. Now, I don't pertain to know why, how, what, when. All I know is there's a lot of people that go to all these away games that are extremely disappointed, worse than disappointed. They're devastated, gutted, because they go to all these games. And then they hear about people being in away ends overseas that probably never been seen before, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, the point I'm making is, Arsenal, if you're going to take 38% of the tickets, or you need to take 38% of the tickets, take them. But be a little bit more open. Be a little bit more transparent. Make these people that are not getting tickets a little bit more informed as to why. Yeah? Don't upset your lifeblood fans. They're your lifeblood fans. Just tell them why and give them a bit more information. And if it's for corporate, tell us it's for corporate. Or if it's for like people that never normally go but are entitled to the tickets, tell us. But be open and honest. Don't just take 38% and say tough cookie. It's wrong. It's wrong. Sorry, Ferg, I had to say that, mate.
No, it's fair enough. On that note, I've got to press the button.
Oh, do it.
Currently 326 of you watching across all various platforms. As we said, we'd love you to go over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. We've got over 1,400 subscribers on there. Would love to get to 1,500 if you can. So just give us a minute of your time. We're not here to make a fortune. That's not our remit. I think, Trevor, I sent you a message. We've broken the £20 barrier.
Yeah,
but YouTube will pay us only 60 quid.
Thanks to the Tottenham fan who come on and give us another 2 pence. That took us through the 20 quid barrier. So when we drink in them beers at the end of the season, because that's what we're going to spend the 20 quid on, according to our leader, Ferg, it's going to be a Tottenham fan that paid for them. Love it.
Tottenham tears. A pot of Tottenham tears. Jamie, it's been absolutely wonderful. Sorry, Dale, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you back on.
It's getting old now, that joke.
Yeah. I'm sure we'd see you and Candy on Talk Sport and being clipped up left, right, and centre. Dale, no, seriously. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate. Been good to see you boys. Like I say, sadly I can't make the games at the moment due to a few issues personally, but I'm booked in for my operation. I'll be known as Daylina from the 5th of November. So come up, give him a squeeze,
You're
and then
gonna need an awful lot of cover-up makeup, aren't you?
and then hopefully I'll see you boys on for the Tottenham game. I'm hoping to be. That's my first game back.
Yeah. All right.
Brilliant.
Trev, as always,
all the best, pal. All the best, son. And yeah, you know where we are if you need us, mate.
Oh, there's them 20 quid towards them Guinness at the end of the season. I ain't missing that. Don't worry.
That's
listen. The bars I know in Prague, Dan, it's probably about 5 beers each. Let me tell you. And by the way, I'm going to Prague with Dan for the game in Prague. Although I might not have a ticket, you're not taking me none of them mucky bars, Daniel, like you said you were. Not a chance. I know it was your 40th birthday this week, Capo Dan Gunning. I know it was your 40th.
he said it was 21.
The celebrations are over now. I'm not going to none of them mucky bars in Prague now. Then you've been told.
I tell you what was
welcome back,
hilarious.
Mr. Hill. Good to see you again.
we were in, we were in the pub, and Dan turned up and he got himself a pint glass with some whiskey and Diet Coke in it. He stood there, and he's had one mouthful out of it, and the glass just went boom, fell down, hit the floor, and exploded, and just went straight up. Showered absolutely everybody in whiskey and Coke. You can't take him anywhere. Him anywhere.
It's age. See, when you get to 40, the old arthritis starts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was a big giveaway. Big giveaway.
I'll let him have some of my pills.
Well, listen, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Really do hope you enjoyed the show. We do this every Monday. Well, we won't be doing it next Monday, but we do it every Monday when there's after a game. And the boys do it even from all over Europe. We've done it everywhere. We enjoy doing it. It's our hobby. I hope you enjoy watching. Up the Arsenal, Fox Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.